Hello. I'm Richard, and you've already been looking at me longer than any employer ever has. I often feel like the world is mocking me. I sat down on a train the other day. When I got up to leave the carriage, there was a sticker stuck to my arse that said, "Shake well before use." When I get up in the morning, I like to have a cup of Dow Egbert's All Gold coffee, because on the jar it says that it's medium and well balanced, which is my ideal shirt size and mental state respectively. I have a sort of a turbulent issue with food. It kind of got to the point where I was eating so much that I once smoked a spliff and subsequently couldn't tell if I had the munchies or not. But I'm working on it. 2008 was the year the credit crunch hit, and it was also the year I told my dad that I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. So he too knows how it feels to make a long-term investment that he's never going to see a return. Yeah, like I said, I am unemployed. I've never actually had a job. I'll tell you about my worst ever job searching story. I applied for a job at Morrison's, got rejected, and discovered later that the position had been given to a friend of mine's cousin who had recently been released from prison on a sexual assault conviction. How much contempt for humanity do you have to make that decision? Oh, I know he's got wandering hands, but just look at them scan. You know, they said, "Richard, we'll keep your details on file." Morrison's, I don't want you to keep my details on file. I don't want to find out later that I've been beaten to a shelf-stacking position by a murderer on the grounds that he's good at heavy lifting. But weird things happened to me when I was on the dole. There was an occasion where I was woken up at 6 a.m. by a 70-year-old Jehovah's Witness, who then proceeded to give me a pamphlet called Awake. I thought she was some sort of witch. Did she have a pamphlet in her bag for every human state? Because if so, I'll have a copy of Angry, a copy of Misanthropic, and a copy of Existential Despair. I would actually buy Existential Despair. I wouldn't bother with a subscription though. I mean, what's the point? Something else that fills me with despair is the world of dating. My ex-girlfriend thought I was very domineering. She used to call me the fat controller. I didn't like that an awful lot. But I've been single for a little while now, and it annoys me when people keep asking me about it. And it got to the stage where a relative of mine said to me, "Richard, do you have a steady girlfriend?" And I said, "No, she has Parkinson's." But I'm trying to improve the situation. I'm online dating at the minute. I'm on the dating website Plenty of Fish, which incidentally is also the name of a Christian cookery website. But it can be quite hard to get to know people on there though. There was one girl who just had on her profile, "Hi, I'm Natalie." And that's all you need to know. Not quite Natalie, not quite. Was about hobbies, interests, militant right-wing political affiliations. Lord knows I've been burned on that last one before. "Richard, I want you to say it." I don't want to say it. I feel quite uncomfortable saying it. "Please, for me." "Okay. I wish all the Poles would just go home." Now, two things emerged from that little exchange. One, I have no discernible performance skills. Two, I appear to be labouring under the misapprehension that doing this is an acceptable means of illustrating character. It wasn't always this way. I was 1 mark off an A in my A-level drama, which was in itself a cause of A-level drama. But that involved playing a posh man and an autistic child, neither of which are a million miles outside my standard range. But, a bit too much laughter at that, if anything. Dating is basically a confidence business, and I'm permanently suffering from recession. I went out drinking recently. I'm not much of a drinker, purely for the reason that I've tried Tesco Value Gin. And I don't know if you've ever consumed Tesco Value Gin, but it is the closest mankind has come to manufacturing liquid despair. But I got talking to this confident guy while I was out drinking, and he started bragging about the number of women he'd slept with, rattling off dates and locations like some sort of promiscuous Rain Man. And I found it quite difficult to keep up with. After a while, I felt like I was being dragged into some sort of game of sexual Cluedo. Was it Samantha? In the kitchen? With your penis? Turned out it was, but then I am very good at Cluedo. Anyway, I found this all quite vulgar, right? And I told him so. And then he proceeded to show me a text from who I assume was his girlfriend that read, "I want you to fuck me on the pool table." Except that fuck had been spelled with a capital letter. And that I simply could not abide. I turned to him and I said, "Well, I'm sorry, my good man, but I couldn't possibly fornicate with someone who has such a loose grasp on grammar." And as the words tumbled from my mouth, I realised how ridiculous I sounded. If I ever received a text like that, I would spend the rest of my life claiming that fuck was a proper noun. I'm quite a negative person. This is kind of something that the people around me tend to pick up on. For my last birthday, my sister bought me some Eau de Toilette, the big book of politically incorrect jokes, and the Mr. Men book, Mr. Grumpy. A selection of gifts that suggests that she thinks of me as a stinking, miserable racist. And the gift that annoyed me most of all was the Mr. Grumpy book, because at the end of the book, Mr. Grumpy renounces his grumpy ways. And I can't think of anywhere else in the Mr. Men canon where the lead protagonist is forced to eschew their eponymous characteristic. I'm fairly sure that Mr. Tickle doesn't end with, and Mr. Tickle learned that his actions could potentially be construed as molestation. I've been Richard Stainbank. Enjoy the rest of your show. Thanks.